On tonight's episode of Obscured Reality, join us as we dive into the mind of our new co-host, Stephanie. Let's see where she stands on topics we cover, such as paranormal, UAP, lost civilizations. Let's see what she has to offer. Sit down, sit back, relax, and join us on our journey through Obscured Reality.
Welcome to another episode of Obscured Reality. Join your hosts, Mark, Mike, and Stephanie, as they take you through a journey of the extraordinary, bizarre, and often frightening world of the unknown. Explore topics of the paranormal, UFOs, alien abduction, lost civilizations, mythical monsters, and other unexplained mysteries. Come along with us as we transcend into another dimension of obscured reality.
Welcome back to Obscured Reality. I am your host, Mark. Joining me tonight, your co-host, Mike.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And a special treat for you, a new co-host as well, Stephanie. Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, she sounds so nice and petite and quaint and quiet.
I am not.
She's not.
I am not.
So tonight is just a short introductory show so we can get a little bit of maybe background about Stephanie here. However, this is not going to be all eyes on you, of course. We'll give you some insight to us and these topics. We've already kind of done this in our first introductory show. However, it wouldn't be bad to remind people. Just get an idea where everyone's at still, you know, for the two of us, and then initially where Stephanie's at here. But so I did not prepare at all for this one because I don't need to.
All right.
We'll see. Well,
that makes two of us. I didn't prepare for this at all.
True. So, Stephanie.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
You are welcome. I'm really excited about this, actually. Very excited.
So, Stephanie came up as an idea a while back. I don't know why I didn't think about it before, but ran across Mike, too. And I was thinking, Stephanie would be good for something like this. Like, she's pretty smart. And I know on some of these topics that we cover, she's like super knowledgeable. And when I talked to her on the phone, she started just like going on and on about, I don't remember what it was. It was like Lost Civilization or something. I don't remember what the hell it was. And like completely knowledgeable on it without having to read anything like we would have to do on a lot of this stuff.
Sure.
I was like, holy crap. So I was like, oh man, that's probably be perfect. And she brings some, again, more perspectives. Right?
Absolutely.
Possibly better, possibly worse. Who knows? I guess we'll find out, huh?
As yet to be seen.
Yeah. So, I know for our original introductory show, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, we kind of did, we kind of went through some of like the genres of topics that we do. And, and we kind of just went over like where we are at on those as far as opinions, thoughts, stuff like that. So maybe we'll just kind of do that again, yeah?
Sure.
Sound good, Stephanie?
Sounds great.
Okay. Ooh, I got it up just in time. My Excel sheet. It's okay to laugh, Mike. Just laugh.
It's got to be funny.
It is funny. Just don't bite it. All right. So we're not limited to these types of topics, but we have like, UAPs. Everyone knows what that is, right? Synonymous with UFO, which is synonymous with aliens. USOs, unidentified
submersible.
Submerged. Yeah, submersible objects.
Yeah.
Alien abductions, portals, paranormal, lost civilizations, unsolved mysteries, mythical monsters, sci-fi. And we have personal stories as well. There could be other genres, right? But a lot of it, I think, will fall under some of these. Does that sound about right to you, Stephanie?
Yep.
Does those sound good to you? Good.
Those sound great.
So let's, I don't know. We'll just randomly run some through my random generator here.
All right.
Unsolved mysteries. What comes to your mind? Unsolved mysteries. You have any stories you've heard about? Anything good? I got a few. And not just because I'm looking at it here, but Count of Saint Germain.
Yes, the Count of Saint Germain is one that I have recently fallen down the rabbit hole on. It is beyond interesting, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to say too much about it because I really want to make some like really nice notes because there's so many details that matter in this story that it's not just something you can like quickly gloss over. But yes,
Yeah.
generally speaking, the Count of Saint Germain. There I go.
We
And
found
then
that
Unsolved.
Oh, go ahead.
And then just like in general, Unsolved Mysteries, like I remember that show growing up, so like I've always been like super interested in just any type of like crime or, you know, cryptozoology type of unsolved mystery.
Right.
This is a new one to me. I've never heard of this one.
Count of
Ooh.
Saint Germain. I've heard the name. I don't know much about it, but she said something important there that we've run into in a lot of these episodes. I think
Okay.
in details. There's a lot of details that kind of need to be said, which is really important because I've always said from the beginning of Obscured Reality is, you know, the details matter, and if you're going to do what we do a lot of the times, and we're going to throw out our opinions, we're going to do that based off the best facts that are out there, and not just an opinion based off of one thing that's true in a story where 20 other things aren't true. I mean, you got to weigh everything.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. Unsolved Mysteries, I can't wait to do Amelia Earhart.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah. That'll be probably a multi-show.
Yeah.
At least 2 or 3, I'm thinking. But there's a lot of good theories that are believable in that as to what may have happened. Of course, with that said, we're probably going to have to apply Occam's razor to a lot of these stories as well, especially Amelia Earhart. Have you heard of Occam's razor, Stephanie? I'm assuming you have.
I have not actually. This is new.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. Occam's razor basically says the simplest answer is usually the correct answer. Kind of along those lines. Is that right?
Yeah, it's like if you're reaching too far for a story, you're probably just making some stuff up.
Right.
Okay,
So-
makes sense.
Yeah, so I mean, you think about Bigfoot, Stephanie, and the Patterson Gimlin film. I'm sure you know what the
Yes.
hell that is. Okay.
Yep, the most infamous film of Bigfoot, supposed.
Right. So we haven't done a story on that yet. We'll do that soon. And if you just think about that story and you'd be like, well, everyone says it doesn't look like a costume and blah 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 blah, you know, all this stuff. And then you start looking at the year it was done, and you look at the facts, which is these guys were TV or movie producers out there to shoot a film about Bigfoot, and the damn thing happened to stroll on by right in front of them, running around in front of their horses, buck naked with all its fur, right? Occam's razor would say the simplest answer is that was a setup. Right? I mean, that's the simplest answer for that. I mean, and when you add all these coincidences together, they just happen to be producers.
Yeah.
They just happen to be out there to film. They just happen to be out there to film about Bigfoot. Come on.
Yeah,
You know.
and that just happens to be that you have a costume of Bigfoot. So, yeah.
Yeah, they had one made, supposedly, right?
So you would think.
All right, so Lost Civilizations. Where do you stand on those? We got stuff like Mike mentioned Pompeii. We have, you know, Lost Civilizations from Egypt. There's Atlantis, which we did a shorter show on. What do you think about those? Let's say Atlantis, maybe.
Very interesting. I have my opinions as to where I feel like it would be, but I really do love the idea of lost civilizations, like whether it be in Cambodia or, you know, in the sand-swept
in
desert.
Cambodia,
yes.
They're lost civilizations. They're lost for a reason.
Yeah, the
Because of
jungle
our-
ate them, and also the
No,
Khmer
no,
Rouge
no.
destroyed them.
Our napalm ate them.
Yeah, and the Khmer Rouge also
Unfortunately.
decided that they were going to reset the country back to zero after the Civil War, and like intentionally destroyed lots of old Khmer architecture and buildings and religious sites. So between the jungle being the jungle and eating things pretty much alive, that also did not help. So
Yeah.
lost civilizations, like I said, whether it be in like Cambodia or like the sand-swept deserts, like it's just very interesting to find what was and try to understand from
Yeah.
context clues.
Yeah. Do you know anything about Atlantis?
I feel like it was in like the Greece Santorini region, just simply because it is very active with volcanoes, still is very active, and
So you're looking
kind
at
of
Atlantis from a truthful perspective, from not a myth, but it was a real place.
yeah, I mean everything gets embellished, over translations and generations of reproductions, but there are certain I guess context clues that match up, like how it was in a circle and the islands are in a circle, and there's evidence of.
My toilet bowl's in a circle. Does that
Hey,
mean that could be Atlantis?
I mean,
I'm just saying.
if you drop enough things off down there, probably just
Did
in the
you
forms of
know-
statues. But like, there's evidence of lost civilization stuff down
course.
in the crater that has been created from a explosion of a volcano. So there's nothing to say
Right.
that it's not, but there's nothing to say that it is. But just based on what the description of what it looked like versus what that looks like now, and what scientists have found and divers have found to support that evidence, that's what I feel like.
You do know that Atlantis came about from a story, I believe correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, it was Plato.
Plato, yes.
Right. And in his story, he had the setting of Atlantis to be 9,000 years prior to his time.
Again, embellishments and over
Well, no,
translations.
that's true. From his story, his setting for that was 9,000 years prior to his time, which points to the possibility that Atlantis is just that, a myth. I mean, well, one of the things, right? But then again, there's so many lost civilizations under the ocean. I mean, they're finding things all the time, and it's like they don't even go down and study these things. It's just divers going down. It's like, well, why wouldn't we go down and check it out? We got nothing better to do. People are bored these days, right?
It's
I mean,
just-
I'd love to go
yeah.
check it out, right? Even if Atlantis is a myth, there's a million others that aren't a myth, and they are there. They're finding lost entire cities all the time. Let's move on. Paranormal. What do you think of when you hear paranormal, Stephanie?
Ghosts.
Ghosts? I think I kind of do.
Unexplained activity.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? Ghosts?
Yeah, definitely ghosts. Anything that goes bump in the night. I was something I had mentioned earlier was, when you see something in your peripheral vision and you turn and you look and it's not there. Something even like that to me would be paranormal, or
Right.
even like a premonition, maybe a dream that you had last night, and 3 days later it comes true. I think that's.
Those are weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's just anything that's outside of what we would consider normal in science,
Yeah.
unexplained,
Yeah.
paranormal.
Yeah, same here. I don't know that I guess I do have a personal story that we'll do at some point across the street that probably be considered paranormal, right?
Yeah.
Depending how you look at it.
Yeah.
Could be not paranormal.
I definitely have some paranormal stories.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
Not
I live in a house that's over 125 years old,
Wow.
so I have
ooh.
something here with me. Yeah.
ooh, that's
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
I'd be thinking about that moving in. Because you always hear stories, right?
Yeah.
Whether you believe it or not, you always hear stories. It's in the back of your mind. You're like, I wonder.
And it's still creepy because, like, it's an older part of town, so we get rolling brownouts during the summer.
right.
And it just makes the house go even spookier than it already is.
Yeah.
so it just adds, even if you like you said, even if you're not a believer, like it's just a spooky vibe that you can't disagree with here.
Yeah. Well, let's so we'll go on to like portals, and portals could kind of fall under anything, you know. I mean, I have it as its own genre, but could fall under its own thing. Could fall under paranormal. Could fall under with alien abductions, UFOs, UAPs. But we won't go too much into portals. But you know, I'm curious what we all think about portals. Obviously, we don't have scientific proof yet, and I say yet as if we will some point, like they're real. We don't know, but I immediately think of Skinwalker Ranch because a lot of what they're currently finding is evidence that's leading to the possibility that portals might be a real thing happening.
When we're talking about portals, are we talking about like a gateway from people are coming from like interdimensional beings able to pass through and
100%.
Okay.
People, life that's elsewhere, extraterrestrial life somewhere else, anything. I mean, you got to think, to our current understanding, nothing can travel faster than light, right? That doesn't mean that things can't travel faster. Just to our current knowledge,
Right.
Nothing can. So if you take, say, I don't know, what's Zeta Reticuli? What's that, about 20 light years?
I couldn't tell you offhand.
Maybe it's not Zeta Reticuli, but there's one of those other star systems out there is about 20 light years away, and I believe it's Zeta. Well, how long is that going to take them to get here at light speed if there's life out there with craft that can travel light speed?
Right.
20 years.
20 years, yeah.
Right? So are we to say that if there is life on Zeta Reticuli and they're visiting here, are we to say that they're really traveling for 20 years? The idea is the portal would allow them to just, boom, you know, get here.
Yeah, like
in a
a
fraction of that.
wormhole or something.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I've heard about portals, and this is just like, you know, obviously a theory since we don't really know if there's interdimensional beings, is that time is not really a thing for them. They're on a different dimension where they can look at the
Right.
all of time in like a linear fashion, or like almost like looking back at it from like a timeline where they can go future, present, past. They can just pop in and out wherever they want.
Right. Yeah, I don't have a great understanding of time. Like
I don't think any of us do.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's been explained, right? I've never taken the time to sit. I've never taken the time to sit down and think about it to make it make sense. But you know, we ourselves, humans, may not have a good grasp on what time is, and time is, for the most part, just a construct from us. Right, we've made this up to be able to
a simple construct.
Yeah, just to be able to go about our day and create a clock so
Right.
we can wake up to go to our jobs or change a diaper or whatever the hell you're doing, right?
Well, it's because we all live in a three-dimensional universe here.
Right.
And when you start bringing in like a fourth and a fifth dimension, we can't even conceive that.
Right.
It's like if you were to take a drawing, a two-dimensional drawing, and you can draw on paper a little maze. Now, if you have an ant crawling around on that, and let's assume that maze is just, you know, a couple of millimeters high so that the ant can't climb over it.
Right.
They're walking through that maze, and to us, you could just say, well, just go up and over it. But the ant, if he's just on a little two-dimensional plane, he doesn't even understand what up is.
Right.
So three-dimensional, I mean, obviously we have, you know, left, right, up, down, that kind of stuff. But a fourth dimension might actually take us out of a timeline. You know, so maybe to like a fourth dimension, let's just say it's time. An interdimensional being might just go, well, if you want to go back to the 1600s, you just go. But
wouldn't that be nice?
But to us, we're like, well, how?
Right,
I don't understand. We only live in these three dimensions.
Yeah.
So
We're
Have you heard of string theory?
I have.
yeah.
Okay. There is a really good, quick, like overview of string theory and physics in general.
Have you heard of Brian Greene?
I have not.
Brian
But
Austin.
Michio Kaku.
No, just Brian Green. He's really big on string theory.
Michio Kaku's.
I just saw the one on that Michio Kaku did. It was just a very like generic brief overview, but he had brought up the idea that in string theory, instead of time being linear, it can fold, and the fastest way between those 2 points would be a portal between the 2 edges of the piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also the idea of portals and things like that in string theory.
You know, that bending space, which I think is kind of along the lines of what you're talking about there, Stephanie. You know, I've seen that example where they're like, well, here's where you're at and here's where you want to go on this piece of paper, right? And you put something heavy in the middle and you kind of just bend it and boom, there you go. You know, and I'm thinking like, well, what happens to everything else that's in that space that's bending?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just doesn't, I mean, I get it, but it also doesn't make sense at the same time.
Right.
You know, but I don't know.
I mean, I'm also not a scientist or a physicist, so
you sure?
there's just some things that I am definitely positive. So, you know, there's just some things that I speculate on, but I don't know, because even if I did try to look up the answers, like the math behind it, I would just be like, oh.
Yeah, well, we're all in the same boat there.
100%.
Yeah, none of us
I'm
are.
not alone.
Well,
Yeah.
we're all physicists and stuff. We just never got our degrees.
And
Yeah,
I'm definitely an archaeologist without a degree.
Yeah.
Totally. Yep.
All right. Well, alien abductions. That speaks for itself. Don't even need to ask what anyone thinks that means to them. I think we're all on the same page. But, you know, there's some interesting things. You know, one show I have listed under there we can do sometime, the Betz Sphere. Now, that's not alien abduction. I had nothing else to put that under. But
the Betz Sphere. That was that little ball or something that was moving around on its own, and they couldn't figure out. There was nothing mechanical inside. They X-rayed it, right?
yeah, have you
Okay.
heard of that, Stephanie? The Betz Sphere.
I have not.
So
Interesting.
this family back in do you remember when it was like the mid 1900s? Maybe after
1950 something.
Yeah, around there maybe.
Yeah,
They have this huge farmland. It's somewhere on the East Coast. Was it Florida?
I can't remember.
I think it was Florida.
Interesting.
But they had quite a bit of land, and they drove out to the coast one time. And if I recall the story correctly, part of this land along the coast was theirs. And I could be wrong on that, but some of the brush was on fire. So they went out to try and help put it out or whatever the deal was, and they saw this ball. Think of something like the size of a bowling ball. It was just silver, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it was really weird. There was no seams in it, like it had been welded shut
It's
or
just
anything.
a solid
Yeah.
steel ball.
Yeah, so they
Whipping the fire.
Well, I didn't say steel.
oh,
you did.
I'm assuming you would be of a steel color.
I'm just saying
You said silver,
a
so I
silver
just
ball.
assumed steel color.
Yeah,
Okay.
think bowling ball, maybe a little bigger. They brought it home.
Okay.
And over the period of time they had it in their house, like the first week or two, a couple of their kids were like playing with it, just rolling it around. This thing started moving on its own and would roll around, and it even followed some of them around a little bit.
Was able to like go
That's
uphill or
nice.
something.
Yeah.
It was just like
It
completely defied physics, right?
yes, but it showed that it might be under some type of intelligent control because it did follow one of the kids around. So they wound up contacting the military. There was something military nearby, and they weren't sure if maybe this was something that maybe came down from a satellite that didn't burn up in the atmosphere re-entering, and maybe it was some type of like gyroscopic device for moving a satellite around in position while it's in space, right? They don't know.
But that wouldn't explain why it's following a kid.
Well, no, but
And one particular
you know,
kid.
it's just what they were saying.
They were
like,
just
maybe
exploring
it's
all
that.
their options, and
Yeah,
you know.
so they contacted the military and they're like, "Oh yeah, we want to see it, right? Bring it down." So the mother, the lady, she's a very smart lady, and she brought it down there and she said, you know, she was basically, "I'll let you see it. I want to go with it." Blah blah blah. They're like, "Nope, you're not coming with it." She's like, "Okay, well, not without getting it back. Like you can have it for this length of time. Wasn't long, and I want it back." Long story short, they took it for a much longer length of time, and
Shocker.
when they gave it back to her, I think she had to kind of fight a little bit to get it back. When she got it back, they noticed something was different about it. Number one, the ball didn't do what it was doing before, and something about it looked different. I don't know if they could pinpoint it or not, but she said they think that they somehow did something to destroy the innards or make it not work, basically. It's an interesting story. It's not really alien abduction type stuff, but alien abduction.
More like an alien pet.
Who knows? I mean, good a guess as any, right? Yeah, alien abductions. We have things like Betty and Barney Hill, Whitley Strieber, Travis Walton. There's a bunch of others too, but we'll get into those. What do you think about alien abduction, Stephanie? Happening. There's a lot of stories out there.
Yes, there are a lot of stories out there. Not all of them probably are true, but I do feel like
course.
It could be it's a thing.
Yeah. You think they're happening, Mike?
I don't know.
To say. I mean,
yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I'm not going to say no, but I think like 99% are probably made up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
True.
I'm sure there's got to be some truth in most of it.
There's always a grain of truth somewhere. It's just a matter of what is that grain.
I mean, I don't doubt that people had experiences, and they're probably trying to interpret those experiences best they can. But yeah, to say that aliens are coming down and abducting people, maybe not. Don't know.
All right. Well, moving on. We'll get this closed up really quick here. Two more things real quick. Stephanie, have you heard of USOs, unidentified submerged objects?
I haven't heard them in that context, but I have heard of the idea that things like that are a thing.
Right. So think of UFOs or UAPs in the sky,
but underwater. Which makes sense because, like I said earlier, most of the unexplored area of this Earth is underwater.
Yes.
So it would make sense if there were other living creatures that they would hide from us underwater. To me, it makes sense.
So when I think of USOs, I saw a TV show that was done, not necessarily 100% on USOs, but this reporter went out with one of our submarine groups. And now, basically, the show I saw was some recordings from that, but this is more like him saying what was going on in the submarine. He was saying how he was in this, and they were up near, I want to say it was Alaska or Antarctica or something, I don't know.
Those
north.
are two very different spots.
Whatever's up by Alaska. Was that the Arctic?
Yes.
Mix. There you go.
It was the Bering Sea.
Probably. And he had recording, and he was telling how they said one of the sonar radar guys, whatever the hell they are, said something about there's a fast mover. And basically what he's saying is they were calling them fast movers. He saw it on the screen. He saw the blip go by, and it was just like an incredible speed for being underwater. And, nothing we have, to our knowledge at least, can move at those speeds underwater. So it's a real thing. It's just, again, a matter of what it is. But now that we're seeing all these UAP videos, legit ones from the military coming out, and they are saying these things are transmedium devices. Basically, they're able to go travel around in space, as well as within our atmosphere, as well as within water. And they have video of one allegedly going from the atmosphere, this is from one of our ships, into the water. So
yeah, wasn't part of that on the remember the Tic Tac video where was it David Fravor? Mm-hmm. Didn't he say that it kind of came in and out of the water, or went down to the water?
No, what he said was when they got called out to go check this thing out on radar, they didn't see the actual UAP at first. What drew his attention was like a boiling of the ocean water down below. And it was in a particular shape too. I think they said it was like a cross type shape. I could be wrong on that, but basically, like there was something under the water, that's what drew his attention, because the UAP was right above it, like moving around like a ping pong, just like boom, 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 just randomly moving around.
Okay.
And that one, there was nothing about that going underwater. There's another video.
That's what I remember. Something about the water.
Right.
Okay, that drew his attention.
Yeah.
I wasn't. It's been a while since I've heard that story, but I couldn't remember if it came out of the water or if that was
Right.
Okay.
So, I mean, USOs, Stephanie, Mike, might not even be a good term anymore now that there's more evidence, video proof from legit sources coming out showing that these are transmedium devices, space, atmosphere, and water. These USOs, the term USO would tell me that these are limited to just water, right? However,
Correct.
They've only been seen in the water. That doesn't mean they're not coming out as well. So, USO might not even need to be a thing, because it's probably all the same.
It's still a USO until it's not.
Well, yeah, of course.
And when it's under there, it's still a USO, and now it's a UFO or
till you see it come
UAP.
out. So we got some shows lined up for USOs. I think those will be interesting. I'm not too familiar with them, but it's definitely interesting. Another genre, UAP. So you can think of UFO. What do you think about UAPs, UFOs, Stephanie? What comes to your mind when I say UFO?
Oh, Little Green Men from Roswell.
Oh, I think we talked about this briefly. Yes,
we did.
Little Green Men.
It's just very synonymous with UFO, thanks to ingenious marketing. But UAPs, as we have previously discussed, is more of a fitting acronym for it.
I think so.
Because of aerial, and because, as you had put it, flying indicates the fact that it was flying in the first place, when a lot of UAP sightings are not necessarily flying,
right,
but like hovering.
Correct.
So,
yeah. What do you think about UFO when you hear UFO, Mike?
Well, I mean, the thought that comes to mind is, alien. However, we know that UFO is a very generalized, broad term that can mean,
Well, it has a very simple meaning. It's not broad. I mean, it is
simple, because it can cover an alien, or it can cover a stupid weather balloon or spice balloon that we just didn't know what it was, because it's very broad in what it covers. It simply means unidentified flying object.
Exactly.
We just don't know what it,
Right.
That's why I say it's a very broad term. So the term UFO shouldn't mean just alien. It means anything that you don't know what it is, or the government doesn't know. It's not identified.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when it's very broad, because it can be anything.
Right. Yeah, and I've mentioned this in past shows. I mean, I've always had a huge issue with the acronym UFO.
Right.
The reason why is because somehow it's just become synonymous with aliens, life from Mars or somewhere else.
Marketing.
Yeah, and it's like people that think that, which seems to be a ton of them, it's like they're just not using common sense when they think that. Although that doesn't mean they don't have common sense. I'm sure they do. But why do their brains just go to aliens?
Well, it's the way the media portrayed it over the last 50 years.
Yeah. And so now with the government with the government coming out saying they're starting a program looking into UAPs, which we've known they've had all along, and Luis Elizondo's proven that. They've put the new acronym out there, UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, rather than Unidentified Flying Object, because number one, we don't know that they're actual objects. A lot of these people are seeing, you and I have seen them, just the light. How do we know it's an actual object? We don't. How do we know it's even flying? Right? It's in the atmosphere. It's moving. That doesn't mean it's flying. We think of flying, we're thinking of airplanes, helicopters, we're thinking of ailerons and rudders and control surfaces, whereas a huge chunk of these sightings, no control surfaces, no discernible means of propulsion, things like that. So I know a lot of people that are putting their voices out there, kind of like us, don't like the term UAP. I don't understand why, but we need to get away from the idea that a UFO is alien, because it very well might not be. And I'm not saying, well, I don't know what the hell I'm saying, but it doesn't mean it's alien. And everyone thinks that, and they look at you weird. So now you can say UAP.
I've got an example that actually happened a couple of days ago. Now, the whole Chinese spy balloon and shooting down the other objects. There was a guy that I work with who was just like, dude, did you read? They shot down UFOs. And I'm like, wait a minute. I go, hang on a second. I'm telling this guy, I'm like, show me the article you're looking at. And so, now in the news, it was saying UFO.
Yep.
However, my friend at work went straight to alien thinking. And I go, no. I go, they're using UFO in the text of it's unidentified and it was flying and in an object. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean UFO. And he was like, dude, they found UFOs. Right. And I'm like, no, you're reading into it too far.
Yep.
It simply means it was unidentified and it was flying.
And I'm glad, I got to say, Mike, I'm very glad to hear that you actually kind of, in a way, probably very nicely corrected the guy on that, because I think a lot more people need to do that, and a lot more people need to hear that, because that's just an incredibly incorrect way of thinking.
Yeah.
And it does nothing but muddy the waters when you have legit people out there trying to figure this out, and it doesn't help. It just adds to the hysteria of everything.
Yeah. Now, so when the news is, putting this out there, this was on Channel 7 News that I saw it. And, so they're putting it out there like that. Who knows what the public's going to, what they're going to think, what they're going to say. Yeah. This was on the news.
And you got to think,
live TV.
Yeah. And these people that are actually going to talk about it, like your friend at work, right? How many people will he talk about it with? And how many of those people are very impressionable and might think aliens, First thing that comes to my mind, I think, is a very common sense reasoning for it. And these other three that they didn't know what they were, and that is, well, the first one was a Chinese spy balloon. These are probably something of a similar nature, and they might not be, but my mind doesn't go to outer space or life from under our oceans. It goes to, we don't know what the hell they are, and who knows? We're hopefully figure it out, and they'll hopefully tell us.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully.
They won't.
No, they won't. Of course not.
It's a big secret.
We gotta push. All right. Well, we'll wrap this one up. So, introductory show. You gotta get a little bit into Stephanie's mind and where she's at and her smarts on this stuff. I think she's
she's very intelligent and she's well rounded, and she
probably has to read a lot less to talk about this stuff than we do. Some of it.
Some of it. Yeah, some of it.
Not all of it. But all right. So, to all of you out there in YouTube land, obscuredr1@gmail.com. If you have a personal story of your own, you've seen a UAP, you've seen Bigfoot, you think you've seen Bigfoot, who knows, anything, ghosts, hit us up, shoot us an email, type in story in the subject line so we know what it is, and we'll do some shows on those stories. Maybe if we take callers at some point and bring people on the show, you can tell your own story. We'll see how that plays out, but we'll put it out there for you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, of course. Mike, Stephanie, make sure you subscribe.
I already have.
Done.
What'd we say? Oh, yeah, that's our 3 or 4 subscribers, right?
Hey, I even got the shirt.
Oh, last time you said I don't give a.
No, Brad said, "How come you're not wearing the shirt?" I'm like, I forgot to wear it tonight.
I don't have mine on because it's chilly, so I'm like,
yeah, that's why
keeping warm stuff on. Yeah. So, but cool.
It is cold.
Yeah. So thanks for being with us, Stephanie. We are definitely going to catch you on the next show.
Definitely.
All right. Again, like, share, subscribe, and we will catch you guys next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check back with us often for new episodes. Feel free to drop a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Obscured Reality.